We got Granite. We got elves. We got orcs. We got soul wizards.
Then we got little more.
With giant axes. And then we got a little big man with big feet. Yeah. Hello and welcome to Cassette Take, where you can eject wherever you want, but please don't forget to rewind. I'm Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And I'm Steven.
Oh my god, how'd you get in here?
What?
Can't get that man out of here.
I'm in your mind.
Oh.
I've always been.
No, okay, guys, we have Steven on again today. So if you guys don't remember or haven't been with us for a while now, Steven has been more so on our video game reviews or video game series reviews.
Right?
Yeah.
I was also on Godzilla.
Yeah, that is true. Godzilla as well. So he's been with us with a few episodes, and we always love having him and his sardonic commentary. So we're happy to have you, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be on.
Now, Steve and Annmarie,
I'm here too.
what did we just watch?
We just finished Rings of Power Season 2.
Woo! Yeah, I mean, the season 2 finale of Rings of Power just dropped, and gotta say, this show definitely was one that kept on the incline. I love it. I love as it went on.
It was definitely an improvement from season 1, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean I mean, I haven't read any of the Lord of the Rings books in all honesty.
I'm just starting to. I've read The Hobbit, and I'm just starting to read the Fellowship of the Ring. But yeah, I'm not like a Tolkien lore guy, so I only experienced like the movies and TV shows. Well, the one TV show now.
And I've read The Hobbit. And that's pretty much it.
I've read like 5 pages of the first Lord of the Rings book.
Recommend listening to the audiobook. Way better experience. Reading it, I felt like I wasn't able to get into the story as much.
Wasn't that like narrated by Andy Serkis?
Yeah, I really liked his version of the audio.
I should be listening to that on the way like to and from, my commutes.
Oh yeah, that's what
I should be doing.
Awesome.
Well, I guess my first question, because Ethan and Steven know more about the lore of Lord of the Rings, more than I do specifically. And there's lots of talks that this follows, what's the book called again? The
Silmarillion. But I don't think this...
No, I think the Silmarillion's the age before. I think this is taking place between the Silmarillion and...
Yeah.
It's the second age, so it's after Silmarillion, before Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so I think it's referenced in the Silmarillion, but it's never something that's ever been explored that much, and that's why they felt the need to kind of pick this era as the one to kind of go into.
Fact check us in the comments, guys.
Okay, so from your guys' point of view, as Lord of the Rings fans, does this do justice to the story that was told originally?
You want to go first, or should I?
Well, I mean, I think at least compared to the first season, the second season does a much better job of really kind of capturing or at least channeling for the most part that essence that I think the Peter Jackson movies carried all those years ago that really make us happy, and those like the action, the cinematography was very reminiscent of it. The score, of course, was reminiscent of it. Shout out Bear McCreary. And there's something I want to talk about with the Bear McCreary score later. But on top of that, the dialogue, the way it was written, the chemistry between characters, more specifically the chemistry between male characters, which is something that Tolkien has always done so well, and Peter Jackson was able to capture that great sense of fraternity and brotherhood. And I think this, show really was able to capture that more so than the first season.
And you both loved the first season.
I really liked it. It's a controversial show in the first season, which I can understand. And the show definitely takes its liberties, but
yeah,
I think it finds its niche within the fan base of, there's some people who don't like it. The people who love it really love it,
Yeah, because I was one of the ones that didn't like season 1. I felt like there was way too many plots, too many characters, and this definitely changed. I feel like they took a lot of liberties from the first one, took what worked, took was like, this didn't work, let's switch it, and really made a huge change. Like, you could tell
Totally agree.
they took the criticism and was like, okay, this is what we're going to do to fix it.
Yeah, well, in all honesty, though, regardless of that, the Tolkien, if you ever read his stuff, and like I said, I've only read so much, so please correct me if I'm wrong on this. He goes on many tangents, like when he's explaining some certain world building elements and all that. Like, granted, it's very well written and it's awesome, but it's just like every time I open the Tolkien book, like to kind of continue reading, it's always going on a tangent, introducing this character. I don't remember half of their names, in all honesty. So I mean, it's I to say that doesn't really, that first part of that first season doesn't really do the source material justice with the characters and all that being all over the place. I mean, I think that's a little bit of a stretch, but I do understand, like, generally speaking, yeah, that it's never really the best thing when you can't really control or like guide your audience to like understand these characters, where they're at, and like have a sense of scope of where everyone is in frame of reference.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I feel that. I really do.
And so I guess, Steven, you probably know the most from all three of us right here. So could you break down season 2 of Rings of Power? What is it about mainly?
It's mostly about well, should I go into spoilers?
No spoilers.
Okay.
Non-spoilers.
So Sauron is kicking his plans into gear. He's trying to gain power. A shadow in the east, as he was described as. He
goes from Sar off to Sar on.
Later.
The main start of this season was kind of to pick up right where it left off at the very end of season 1. You see Sauron in Mordor, and you see his immediate actions right after. You see the immediate journey of the Half-Foots and their journey east. What else you see the return of the Númenóreans back to Númenor and the repercussions of what happened. What else is there?
Just
There's a lot.
yeah, to continue on though, from what you just said, I will say the Númenor plot line really took a step up.
Oh, yeah.
This time.
Really, I actually, that was like one of my least favorite parts of the season.
I mean, really? Yeah, the first season, I could not agree more. I was honestly a little bored of the Númenor storyline. This time around, I was quite engaged with it, like all the political backstabbing and such that was occurring.
It had a Game of Thrones vibe.
Yes.
In my personal opinion, I wasn't really a Game of Thrones guy when it was coming out. I never really got into the series. I kind of hopped on late, so like the political commentary and strife never really struck me as like a interesting story to me. But I do like the characters that it involves in, like the ship captain. I really like. There's a really cool moment later in the season with him, and yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, Annmarie, would you say that this show, or these arcs, kind of really carried on from the previous season, like in a positive manner or a negative manner, or just kind of stayed the same?
Yeah, definitely. I think, again, I know you both love season 1. I hated it. I did not think it was good season.
Their own.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people, like, it was very controversial. Like, a lot of people agreed, and some people, I think the more in-depth fans thought it was awesome, and I think the more casual fans, like myself, were like, this is really long. There's so much stuff. And so it did, for me, it changed a lot, because there was only certain characters that I liked, like the Stranger story in the first season. That one I was interested in, and maybe Galadriel's story, and that was pretty much it. And this one, I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And maybe it's because I I really took the time to get back into Lord of the Rings, and I understood it more, but I felt like they gave more care to these stories this season. And really, we say this all the time. I feel like I only say this when you're here, Steve. But it really feels like the fans made this.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like that sense of like, yeah, we really do love this material and we want to make this version the best it could possibly be, to respect that material but also be its own thing. And that's why I was really happy when I heard that they were actually going to proceed with taking those fan notes that you had brought up earlier from season 1, and not just saying like, oh, we did everything wrong and we are going to, just blindly listen. But like,
it happens too often.
Exactly. Then you're just basically a yes man at that point, and that's never really the best of situations. But no, I mean, I think they really took great care in seeing like, okay, what worked last time, what didn't work this time, and just really implemented a really good game plan here. Was it perfect throughout? No. I mean, in fact, I think there were some editing issues here and there.
Talked about them.
Yeah, and you as an editor probably caught it as well. But
I caught some in the final episode, which we'll get into the spoilers.
There was like a noticeable audio cutout for one of the dialogues.
Yes!
It was really
that might have been just Amazon, though.
That could have been.
Jeff Bezos, come on.
True Dark Lord.
Yeah.
With ads in our TV shows.
What was your guys' favorite storyline this season?
Ooh, I think the dwarf storyline, any lines between Durin and Elrond are my favorite. But Durin and Durin, his father, I think that kind of stole the show for me this season. It really went into their relationship, and then sort of how the plot deepened. It really kind of dug sort of a strife between them. I really liked how that really developed their characters. So
yeah, I would have to agree with you, but just not to sound like I'm blindly following you into battle here, I would say, I just realized kind of pun intended there. But no, I mean, I guess the next one up in my mind would definitely be like Sauron's storyline. Just like, well, the problem was in the season 1 with Sauron's character was just, when I think of Sauron, I think of like basically the devil, like this dark demon, and to have him be just a dude that's like, haha, just kidding.
He was a abusive gaslighter.
Well, like, yeah.
It was very different of an interpretation, because the way I viewed Sauron is like a shadow in the east, like a mastermind in the shadows. Yeah, you kind of see much more of him in this, but it's just, you actually see some manipulations. It's different, and I don't think it's bad, but it's new,
I don't know if everyone's gonna like it this season. We can go more into spoilers with that. I don't know if everyone's gonna like what they did with him this season.
I can see that, definitely.
Yeah.
They definitely try to pull stuff from the Silmarillion, from what I know of it, and the episodes were coming out, people were like, what the hell is this? This isn't how Tolkien wrote it.
No, to be fair, I mean, even the Lord of the Rings movies weren't 100%.
Yeah, they took liberties too.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fucking Tom Bombadil in those.
I love, as soon as Lord of the Rings comes up, every guy knows so much about it.
It's my Roman Empire. That's what.
I'm stealing that's the title.
I think about it all day. It's my obsession.
One opinion to rule them all.
We can't go into much detail about this yet, but Ethan, you confirmed they talked about 5 seasons, correct? Or
I think that all the plan was.
Yeah, I can't remember where I heard it from. Might have been Hollywood Reporter, Variety, one of the big ones, but I did see that there was a report that they would be doing, like, planned out for 5 seasons. And I was kind of expecting like 3, and then that's why going into the second season, I'm like, okay, this is going to be like the midway through, like all the big drama is going to happen here. And then the third one is going to be completely action packed. And now that we're getting 5, it's going to be like, oh, now it's going to be a little more difficult to kind of determine like which act it begins where and all that. So I kind of like that unpredictability of it, but it's television and it's long and it takes forever to develop and make, especially shows like this with like billion-dollar budgets and almost pretty much no hyperbole there, like billion-dollar budgets. And, we'll have to see how it kind of all comes together. But I mean, 5 seasons of more content like season 2, I'm game for.
I'm on board with that, yeah.
Do we know how long it took when season 1 came out to when this came out? When did season 1?
It felt a lot.
Was season 1... Ethan's pulling up his
Yeah,
phone.
it felt a lot shorter from the announcement of the show to the first season to, I don't know, it might be my perception.
COVID.
Yeah.
It had to be after COVID.
2022.
Okay, so it's 2 years, which isn't awful.
Yeah.
Well, like Stranger Things is taking 3 years. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, 2 years seems like they'll do another one, 2026.
I think a 2-year time span is good for the show because, they don't want to rush what they did with the first season. I feel like they were nervous trying to find their footing. Second season, they found their stride and they're trying to really hammer in the good points. And if they take as long as they did from season 1 to season 2 into season 3, I think the quality is just going to go up from there.
Yeah.
I'm okay with waiting 2 years for, another season. That's how we wait for movies, sequels like
Waited 13 years for Avatar, so
Right.
I waited 14 years for The Incredibles. I can wait.
A full teenager growing up.
Well, instead of, in comparison to The Incredibles, season 2 is very different from season 1, whereas season Incredibles 1 and 2 are the same.
We are a Tolkien novel ourselves. No more tangents. No, but speaking of tangents, so we are Bear McCreary had done the music for this this show, and we all know Bear McCreary, God of War guy. He's the guy that does the music for God of War, and I gotta say, I don't know about you, Steve, as someone that has played God of War, the recent games, more specifically Ragnarok. Sauron's theme sounds eerily similar to
Be careful, spoilers.
to Odin's.
Oh.
I'm not much of a sound guy as you, but I'm not really recalling Odin's theme right now. I mean, it has been a long time since I played that game, but
I get it's the same, artist, same, it's the same style, and both of them are based on like a Norse mythology. Person,
well,
it's
kind of
like
it's kind of interesting you brought that up because both of those characters kind of, they kind of rhyme together. They're both deceivers. They're.
You know what you were kind of saying like, oh, poetically they rhyme together. I'm just like, Sauron doesn't sound too much like Odin.
No, I've been like they're both deceivers. They both both of their powers are like illusions.
Right.
They corrupt people. So maybe that was sort of like a knowledgeable choice by Bear McCreary to kind of tie into the same sort of themes of the music for him.
Yeah.
Is a little off tangent, but Amazon has the rights to God of War TV show.
Yeah. They're currently working on that now. And again, if this show is like a baseline for what they're building off of with quality, I'd say we're on a good path here, on a really solid path. I still have some worries here and there about it because that goes for anything that hasn't come out yet that I'm a big fan of, but at the end of the day we'll have to see. But before we even move on to anything else, and most importantly, spoilers, guys, out of 10 rings to rule them all. So 10 One Rings.
10 1.
Yeah, 10 One Rings.
We do the math on that.
How many would you give this season, not the show, but this season out of 10?
I'll go first because I think I have the more or less to say about this. It is definitely a step up from season 1, and I definitely enjoyed it more. The pacing is so much better, and respect to creators who can take criticism and actually really work to create something that's unique and special, and that a lot of people love this. And so I'm going to give it a solid 8. Again, I don't think it's perfect, but again, I'm not like this big Lord of the Rings fan. I love The Hobbit. That's where my allegiance kind of lies. So I'm going to go a solid 8, but to me, that's like a great score for this. From going from a 6 to last season to this, that's really good.
I'm surprised you're actually a higher rating than I would have given it.
Really?
Yeah. All right, Steven.
It's only by like a half, but I would have given it a 7.5 rings out of 10. So I actually had a lot of issues with the continuation of story points later. I felt like some of them were falling short. I'll go more into it in the spoilers, but the pacing was a definite improvement. But, you know, every show has its faults, and I feel like some of them really dinged the points for me for and really enjoying it. Obviously, there's smaller parts of the show, but you know, I still am invested in those storylines. You know, if you're taking the time in season 1, I want to see it in season 2. So 7.5 rings. That's
Wow.
fine.
Well, I mean, I gotta say, I'm a little surprised about yours, but as it went on, I still had some editing problems with the show. I felt like at times it should have lingered on certain moments a little longer than it ended up doing. Like there's one scene in particular where there's a dramatic moment that happens between two characters, and it's just like, oh, you know, like this would be great if you just held the camera on them for like longer so we could really capture it. And that just kind of cuts to an unnecessary like wider shot of it, and then it just like not even 2 seconds. 1 second later, just cuts right back to that same shot that they had before. And I'm just like, I don't know, it kind of took me out of that moment of that closeness and sincerity. And like, oh, it kind of, I don't know, pulled your emotion away.
No, I'm not recalling the scene you're describing, but we'll go over it.
Yeah, we'll go over it. But
So what would you give it?
well, let me say though that the positivity of the season 2, I really like the enjoyment of it all. Interesting, Steve. Just put on the One Ring full replica. But no, the whole thing of the season 2, like it improved from season 1, and it really did carry its weight, I'd say. But you know, I had some gripes here and there, but I really did enjoy it pretty thoroughly. I would give it a 8.5 out of 10.
We're done.
And
Nice.
I can't remember what I gave the previous season. I think it might have been like a 7 out of 10. So, you know, we jumped up a bit. It's not a perfect, like I mentioned before, it's not perfect, not really close. But I damn well enjoyed the show. I was ready to watch each episode with excitement and was really looking forward to the next one. Now I'm really looking forward to season 3.
I think this season really steps it up, where if you didn't like the first season, you know, season 2 might save the show for you. You know, you might be reinvested into the show if you give the second season a chance.
Absolutely. So, hey guys, before we get into spoilers here, have you watched Rings of Power season 2? Do you guys think it's better than season 1? Are you still like iffy on the fence of even watching it? Hey, whatever your opinions are, let us know your takes on our tapes in those comments down below. And with that, guys,
Catch you on the rewind.
No.
No,
That's my catchphrase now.
no, Steve, this is not a thing. This will never be a thing. No, it's spoiler time. Spoilers and juicy spoilers. So if you do not at all want to be spoiled for Rings of Power season 2, you have been cast into Mount Doom. Well, actually, that's kind of harsh, but
It's fine.
yeah, you know,
Even slightly dropped into it. It's like you didn't mean to drop it. You just, oh shit.
you're half skinny dipping into Mount Doom.
Come back, watch it, come back, listen to our spoilers.
All right, spoilers begin now. So,
What was the scene you were talking about? Because I was really drawing a blank to.
There's many editing.
Yeah,
things.
there's a few that are like that, but the one in particular I was thinking of in that moment was Galadriel and the Elrond. You know, when the little kissy.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, when they kissy, and it's just kind of like, you didn't need the wide shot. I felt like you could have had that moment just linger a little more. Not because it's like, oh, they're kissing, that's hot. But like, no, sorry. It was more so just the fact that this was a very like, regardless of what the whole plan was of it actually be using as a diversion, it just felt like, if you really want to kind of engage the audience and feel like they should be distracted too in this moment, you keep it lingering. And there were a few times throughout the series in season 2 where it's like, linger on the shot, make me feel this emotion, make me feel this action, make me feel the power here. And they just didn't. They kind of unnecessarily cut away at times because they felt like, we've been on here too long. Like, no, you've barely been here at all.
The shows are long, and the thing is, they don't have to worry about runtime.
Right, and they did make up for it, though, in this last episode a little bit with that one shot with the, through, what's the city, the elf city?
Erebor? Or
the one, like, where the
Region?
Erebor, yeah.
Yeah, Region.
Where they did that one shot where the orcs were coming in and, like, taking everything on, the Galadriels come swinging in like a badass. And, that was an awesome scene. I love that. And
She is really good. I don't know her name, the actress, but whoever plays Galadriel is really, really
She got some hate in the last season, but I really liked her character overall in the series. I'm like, I feel like she's kind of taking the main lead of the show, and I'm really liking it.
I think that's really, like, a really good main character, too, to connect us, just because it connects us back to
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Yes, Ethan.
Morfydd Clark.
Congrats. You do wonderful in this show. I'm really
Forgive me if I butchered that name. Morfydd.
That's the name of Galadriel's actress?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Wonderful actress. But yeah, she did a phenomenal job, and Galadriel's character, I think, did also take a step up from the previous season. And I also felt like something I didn't mention in the spoiler-free review was where they decided to put the emphasis on the darkness of the show, because wasn't there like a really dark moment in season 1 where, and I could be confusing it with The Witcher, but where they slaughtered babies or something like that?
I don't recall that.
The one thing scene that I keep thinking about is when Sauron is like kind of recreated, reborn. That was so creepy.
That
Black
was
words.
Oh man, like that was interesting.
Like-
and I don't like body horror, and it was very much like
It's like, that's what I kind of expect, though, to see in Sauron, like underneath like all that gear he has on by the time we get to Lord of the Rings. And it's just
Like a culmination of black worms underneath you.
yeah, like that goo. Almost like the boogeyman from A Nightmare Before Christmas. Rest in peace, voice actor.
yeah, we give a shout out to the costume designers of the show. Like, thank you so much, and like makeup designers, everyone.
Yeah, the costumes I felt like really tied into like the Tolkien feel. Like I felt like any of the character designs for the show, like they really would have fit into like the movies at any point.
My question for you guys: do you think people will like what they did with Sauron?
So I'm kind of torn with. I don't know if I like it or not yet, because I do like the direction of something new and what they went with. I think they did well, but I don't know. My interpretation of Sauron is, a true evil. A darkness in the shadows. He manipulates people, but he doesn't physically talk to them. He enters their mind and stuff like that.
He's not like a person.
Yeah, in this season he felt more like an abusive boyfriend who gaslights you, makes you feel small, and gets in your head, but in a much more like human way, not like a magical evil.
And not to say that actor didn't do well.
Yeah, acting was actually one of the things that really saved it for me for the interpretation, because if the acting if it wasn't up to snuff, I would have hated it. But the interaction between Sauron and Celebrimbor were amazing.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah, I would have to say that it just, the chemistry between characters was there. Those dynamics really thrived this time around. And honestly, specifically the chemistry and dynamics and change in arcs of relationships was most effective outside of what's his name, Durin and Elrond, and Durin. I think was really effective in the opposite way, like in a good way, but
Yeah.
like the opposite side of things with Sauron and Celebrimbor, like their relationship where it was just like
Deteriorating.
Yeah.
Just trying to build back together.
I thought that was so well done. It wasn't just a simple like gaslighting adventure. It was just like, which isn't, there's nothing simple about that, but you know, it was just like this true, sincere, like almost for a little bit like a true friendship that Celebrimbor had thought he had forged here, and it turned out to be
Used
Yeah.
the entire time. Which, I mean, that's what happens with, you know, Anatar and Celebrimbor in the books, but I feel like it takes a much different shape than what the Silmarillion probably has, you know. My one big gripe I do have with the Celebrimbor and Sauron storyline, I think it took a little bit too long to culminate. It took like what 3 episodes of the season. That's like half the season. You know, I felt like if they spent that time with other story points, it would have been a much stronger season.
It's so weird to also think, and this is just my brain thinking this, but it's only 8 episodes, but you get like an hour.
It's a longer runtime than the movies, you know, and they have a bigger budget than the movies.
Yeah, and not only that, you get ads. That's pretty ask for anything more.
I guess for me, I'm really interested to see where they go for season 3 because I kind of can guess where they're going. I think most people could, but to me, I'm like, oh, how are you gonna, like, 5 seasons? It's a lot. So
Yeah, I mean, it's no simple task. So, I mean, if I believe they have the funds, and you know, a lot of people at Amazon are big fans of Lord of the Rings, even like the corporate side of things.
Jeff Bezos loves it.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is fan.
So, I mean, they are going to make sure it happens no matter what the reviews are. I mean, unless they are so abhorrently bad, actually, like that they're not making any revenue at all. Like, literally no one has to be watching.
Well, maybe that's why they put in the ads during the show, you know. You know, I think they were kind of expecting the viewership to drop off. So maybe, you know, conspiracy theory, you know, mithril hat on. They added those ads because that was a recent change. Maybe they did that to kind of recoup the cost for this season.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't know. I definitely feel like it did fall off from the first season, but hopefully they could bring more people back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that overall, from the sounds of it, all 3 of us had a more than positive time with this show.
Oh, yeah.
You know, regardless of the errors and flaws that we all noticed.
It's easy fits too. Like that's the thing. Like I think we both agreed. Like the editing for it, just kind of weird. Like some part.
And it wasn't necessarily bad per se, but it was just like weird.
Sloppy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even.
There was
say
like
sloppy.
there were
just
small
weird.
mistakes that could be easily fixed.
Did you guys notice the mistake? At the end, Galadriel fights Sauron. Did you notice it?
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh yeah, it's this is just maybe it's just me. It's not like a mistake, but when they like fall off the rock, it was super weird. I was like, this is like, I don't know if it's editing, but if it's like something else.
Maybe it was just like an awkward
It was just
stunt.
awkward. I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, and there's a few of those moments throughout the season where it's like that. Just you kind of, it's almost jarring sometimes with how it's like cut together. So I don't know, if there was one main criticism for this season, for me it would be that and it's just easy, like you guys were saying, easy fix.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not the biggest editor, so I'll let Annmarie take control of those conversations. But
At least it's not edited like The Hobbit.
Oh, 30 frames per second.
If my eyes don't get me started.
well, that's filmed, not it? Yeah, but anyway, guys, I think though we've been talking about this for a little bit, and I gotta say, I think that's about it, right?
Yeah, I don't. Steven, do you have anything else you want to add left?
You know, just kind of summarize my thoughts, you know, spoiler thoughts of this season. I thought the wizard and hobbit storyline was really... Oh, yeah, we haven't even talked about that.
I'm sorry. We have to talk about this.
We have to talk.
I called it. Everyone, he's Gandalf.
I don't know why they started calling him Grand Elf, and then he got Gandalf from that.
Oh.
You know, I maybe I missed it during the season, but
Hey, I think you're right. I didn't make that connection.
yeah, well, them calling him Gandalf, I thought was kind of out of left field. It was like, why are they calling me an elf? He definitely looks like a human. Maybe it was an earlier scene that I didn't.
Explain it a little bit.
They were just saying like, oh, they've never seen an elf before, but it's like, why would they assume? Weren't they just saying he was a giant? So like, I was kind of a little confused.
Also,
It was over his ears too.
like there's people in Rune, like humans, so they've obviously seen human before. So there's no way they could have mistaken him as like an elf. But yeah, I think that storyline really needed more time in the oven to kind of build its story points and kind of connect. And it was like episodes where we don't even see them. It's like only in the last episode really bring it together.
That's the issue they struggled with in season 1 too. Like you would see a story and then it wouldn't come back for like 2 episodes.
Yeah, it was the Harfoots too. It was like that was the one that had the most of that problem. And
Listen, creators, this is what we have to give you.
listen to us again.
We are your gods now. But no, what I was gonna say though is, now that I think about it, they probably got the idea of like Grand Elf because they just know that he's not, like a mortal man, and he has powers, and who else could possibly be like that isn't just a Harfoot or a...
Well, they have a dark wizard, so they could have just called him Grand Wizard.
That is true, but maybe a wizard is kind of like a demeaning term or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I still love the theory that Nori is somehow related to Billboard Baggins or Frodo.
I think that's pretty much confirmed because Harfoots and was like Proud Feet are they're like names that show up in the movies. They show up at like Bilbo's party in the first movie. So
yeah, so I mean, and obviously, Nori does kind of look like Elijah Wood a little.
oh my god, yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah,
there was definitely influence in that casting.
Good casting choice. Good casting choice.
yeah.
I don't think their casting is bad. I just think actually they're giving the worst lines in the show. I feel like
Harfoot.
the Harfoots, yeah, like it's just they're awkward. They don't really fit the tone of the show, and it's like night and day.
Well, to be fair, Hobbits and Lord of the Rings, it's like we got we got elves, we got orcs, we got fellow wizards,
They've got little boy
with giant axes, and then we got a little big man with big feet. Yeah.
like steal rings and
likes to eat a lot.
I think it's because of their age. I don't think it's the actor's age.
no, I think they're trying their best with the lines that they're given.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that aspect of it, me personally, but
It definitely could be improved on, though. That's one of the storylines where I'm like, I wanted more.
It doesn't kill the show for me, but it's one of the it's the last one.
I will say that was kind of the one that I was like expecting so much at the beginning because I enjoyed their storyline in the first season. This time I'm like, oh, we just wander in the desert a bit for 40 nights, 40 days. What's going on here?
It's also in Rune, way farther east than Mount Doom, and they just cut to it from season 1 to season 2. That pisses me off.
Wait, I'm going to say this. For everyone that's listening, we're recording at Steven's place, and below our microphone is a map of Lord of the Rings.
It's Middle Earth. It's from the Lord of the Rings Risk game.
So I get to see Steven now pointing, and he's like, you see that?
It's not even on the map. It's too far east.
I'm sorry.
It's so far east, he's not even pointing on the map.
She ran into the next room. What do we do?
No, but I will say this before we kind of start to trail things off here. The Tom Bombadil in this show, I know that you were saying that a lot of people
will find him very controversial.
Yeah, because it's like, oh, it wasn't done exactly like it was in the books, and this character is because what the fuck's going on. And here, I don't know, I kind of enjoyed the wholesomeness of it. Like, it's just casual god wanderer man that could teach Gandalf some stuff, but like, you know, Gandalf has to learn what he needs to learn first. But in essence, he didn't really teach him anything. So I wouldn't put him in the teacher role like a Yoda or anything like that.
Yeah,
But like
Yoda was kind of riddly, you know.
I think more like the kind of like a, you know, like side mentor, like a little haphazard mentor.
I think the character fits the story of what they're trying to do, but you know, I think the anger is, oh, that's not Tom from the books. You know, I think that's where people are going to get most upset about.
So stupid, because I always like when there's a transition from you know, accurate like books to film or something like that, or like someone takes the aspect of a story that has not been told yet from a classic story and then tries to do something different. The thing I like about change, especially with stories like this, is that it makes it more mythic. Like there's this greater sense of mythology here, because it's like one of the best parts about storytelling is the narrator isn't even the most reliable narrator.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we've had stories passed down from ages to ages to ages, and it's never the same story. It's like this grand version of Telephone, the game Telephone, and you know, you just tell one person it one way, and then the next person tells the next person, like, and then by the time it gets to the fifth or eighth person, you know, it's just a completely different story, or it's like it resembles it, but it just doesn't, like, it's not the exact same thing that you expect it was at the beginning. So, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's just like the fun, perfect flaw of storytelling.
Yeah.
It iterates on, you know, the source material.
Exactly. So I think it just transcends it and just makes it all the better for it. So, guys, any final words here before we send it off and click that eject button?
I've said my piece.
I'm ready for season 3 in 2026.
I am very excited for season 3.
Well, hey guys, you heard our thoughts here. You heard our takes on this one wonderful rectangular tape. And we are...
I think you were going to say map again. I was going,
Why do you say map?
I don't know. We're on a map.
All right, let's map out this ending here and find our way to the end on this beaten path. But hey guys, thank you, Steve, for joining us on this episode.
It's been a pleasure.
We're happy to have you. And again, there's only one opinion to rule them all, and it is indeed ours. But either way, we would love to hear your takes on all of our tapes in those comments down below. Regardless of what you think of the show, regardless of what you think of Lord of the Rings, we just want to hear them. So that has done it all for us today. And we thank you for joining us on this episode of Cassette Take. We hope you haven't ejected thus far into the podcast, but if you have or haven't, regardless, please don't forget to rewind. I've been Ethan.
I'm Annmarie.
And I've been Steven.
Who the fuck are you? Shut up.